Ulonkata bati yada tó yẹ kó máa da ifá. Inú tó yẹ kó jẹun ló fi bí pa. Ọba tálá, ọba takuntakun. Ṣàngó, Èṣù, Ògún, Ọya, Ọ̀ṣun. Ìwọ ló ń bọ̀ nílé. Kí ni ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ tán ṣe nílé yìí o? Ó jẹ́ lọ jára rẹ̀.
Alafia, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I'm your host, Orisha Bemi, and we are back today with the pillar of the community, not only the Ashe tribe community, but the consciousness and the melanated community as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate all the love and support. Shout out to the Patreon family. Shout out to the new subscribers, and shout out to, matter of fact, shout out to Kenjo Collective, because I did a plug for them for their jewelry shop before I took my little break, and I didn't get a chance to share that. So I want to give you all a shout out, Kenjo Collective. I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna get that up soon. Much love and support. But without further ado, Professor Kaba, how you doing? Peace and blessings. How you doing, Professor Kaba?
My brother, Orisa Bemi, I am excellent, brother. Everything is moving along as should be. I thank you for this opportunity to speak to our community. We have some things we have to talk about, brother.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, look, I appreciate you more. And yes, there's a whole lot to talk about, One thing I want to ask before we get into it, because this is something I don't know if I ever asked you on the channel before, but it's something that's very relevant, especially considering where I know we're going to go with this conversation. But you weren't born Kaba Hiawatha Kamene, were you, Professor Kaba?
That was not my born name. My born name was Booker Taliaferro Coleman Jr.
I say, okay.
My father from Tuskegee was named after Booker T. Washington.
I say, that's what's up. And I knew that, but I don't know if the tribe, everybody from the tribe knew. I'm sure a lot of them did, but I don't know if everybody did. But studying Kemetic culture, and I think there's a book called The Meaning of the Word Hotep. I can't remember the name of the author right now, but in that book, he talks about a Ren, and a Ren being, the Kemetic version or a representation for a name, right? So if I'm not mistaken, you corrected your Ren based upon the evolution of your life and your journey and those things, et cetera, right? So can you kind of share a little bit with us, about that before we get into the deep stuff of tonight's topic?
When I visited and spoke with a lot of the shamans, the priests and priestesses, they gave me a version of how to think about correcting my name. That's what I just like you said. I didn't change my name. I corrected my name. I returned back to where I should have been born. Okay.
Yes,
And when I was looking for the name, I was advised that in our tradition, your name was given to you that foretold of and encouraged what they felt your divine destiny would be, what you would do in life. The way people are given names now, a lot of people have names that describe who they are. They say, "Who are you?" Well, I'm whatever. Okay, I don't want to call out any names because I don't want to, because I respect everybody's choices.
Right.
And you see, like I didn't correct my name until 2002. Okay. And so for me, my correction was Kaba is Ka, spirit, Ba is soul. Hiawatha was an indigenous American of the Mohawk Nation here in the United States, northern New York, southern Canada. He was called the Dreamer. And what he did was he developed a method that he was going to unite 5 of the warring nations that were at war with each other. And they were the Onondaga, the Oneida, the Mohawk, the Seneca, and the Cayuga peoples. And he brought them together on Onondaga territory, which is the middle nation, the largest of the 5 nations. Today they're misnamed by the French Iroquois. They call themselves the Haudenosaunee. H-A-U-D, I'm a teacher, so I got to spell. So if you want to do research on this, H-A-U-D-E-N-O-S-A-U-N-E-E, Haudenosaunee. And he united the 5 tribes. Okay. And they became the Haudenosaunee. And then they wrote they wrote a document that's called the Calendrical. K-A-I-A-N-E-R-E-K-O-W-A. Calendrical means the great law of peace, upon which the Constitution is based. The government of the United States is based on the Calendrical, which is the great law of peace, which was the Constitution that brought 13 different colonies together under one. And that is the idea. They modeled it after the 5 nations that were brought together as one. So he was a uniter. Ka means spirit, and Mene is said to be the first Nesetbiti or pharaoh of the first dynasty, Menes. So Ka Mene is the spirit of Mene. So I see my divine purpose as the uniter. Okay, so uniter is to unite us as a people. Warring nations. You know, when I used to talk to the Bloods and the Crips and I would go into territories, I would tell them this story about uniting as a people.
Yeah.
Because what Hiawatha told them, this is like 1000 AD. He said, there will come upon us a people that will take advantage of your disunity. And he said, I have a dream.
Yeah.
We must unite as a people. And so what he did was that he brought representatives of the 5 nations. They're called sachems. S-A-C-H-E-M is singular, sachem, which is a representative of the community. And he brought them on Onondaga territory. And he picked up this huge bush that created a hole in the ground. And he said, we will make this deal that we will not fight each other. We will study war no more. By each and every one of your greatest leaders placing their hatchet in the hole. And when I put the bush back over the hole and over your weapons, your hatchet, you will no longer go to war with each other. That was the pact that they made. That's where we get the concept of to bury the hatchet. You don't fight no more. So he united the 5 nations. So I see my role. And by the way, the sachem is exactly what the House of Representatives are. Okay? And you got the number of sachems according to the size of your nation. The Cayuga, the Mohawk, Onondaga, Oneida, Seneca. The Onondaga was the largest. So they had the largest amount of representatives. But then they said, but that's not fair, because that means that whatever we vote on many times, that maybe Onondaga will always get their way. So what they did was they chose one person amongst the sachem to sit on what is called the Grand Council. And that's the Senate in the United States.
Wow.
That's where the Senate came from.
Yeah.
Every state has 2 representatives. Just like on the Grand Council of the Haudenosaunee, they had one person. And that one person, no matter how big your nation was, you only had one. As opposed to the many representatives, like the House of Representatives. According to the size of your state is how many representatives you have. And so, to answer your question, my name, every time somebody calls my name, hey, Brother Kaba, what's going on? You don't call me as to who I am. You're reminding me of what I still have to do, which is to unite our people.
Yes, sir. Talk about appetizer. Look, that's just a glass of water, family. We ain't even served the appetizer.
but please, Orisa Bemi, how about your name?
Yeah, something very similar. Something very similar. Mine was me following my spirit, and really more so than even that, me being obedient to the whispers of the ancestors. And by being obedient to the whispers of the ancestors, that led me into the path of deepening my spiritual journey. And in the process of deepening my spiritual journey, I was introduced to these deities called the Orisha. And so when I got introduced to these deities in my very first consultation, it was told to me that I was someone who lived a life in my previous life in the priesthood, and that I brought some of the ashe from that past life into this life, and that I was to continue the same work that I did in my previous life in this lifetime to come. So it's a very similar, process of the process that you have, because going through that transformation, that's when the name Orisha Bemi came about, based upon that transformation of that elevation, that evolution of growth, on my spiritual journey. And so, and I liken minds to be a very similar path, in regards to uniting our people. And Spirit kind of gave me that question to start out with tonight, because I knew the story of your name and I knew the significance, especially of the Hiawatha, really the whole name, the Kadaba, Hiawatha, and Kamene. But I don't know how many people that are loyal to this channel that would have followed your work as long as I have, and a lot of others on the channel that would know that. So where we are now and where I know we're going in this country, I felt like that story was extremely relevant to kind of break the ice, pun intended, regards to where we are now, in the state of the world. So that's kind of, my little quick backstory of how I got my name.
Can I just ask you, brother Orisa Bemi?
Mm-hmm.
When I called your name Orisa Bemi, when people call your name Orisa Bemi,
mm-hmm.
what does that motivate in your mind? Like for me, when someone calls my name, I think of uniting immediately.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What do you think of, just in terms of just your purpose?
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's powerful. I think about what the name means, and I think about what the challenge is that goes along with the name. So the name means the Orishas have blessed me and they show favor towards me. But what the challenge is, excuse me, is what I took in upon as a healer, to be a healer, someone who can heal our people. And whether it's through podcasting, through spoken word, through poetry, through children's books, through lectures, through community calls, whatever the case may be. And that's where I feel like the challenge comes from, is to live up to that. That's something that you have to, I feel like I have to live up to that. It's not something that was given to me where I could just sit back and chill. No, I feel like I have to earn that every day of my life. So that's what it means to me.
So your name is an action-oriented concept. When
Yes,
they call
sir.
your name, it makes you feel like you got to do something.
Yeah. Oh,
Not
yeah.
like just you as an object, as to, well, your name is so-and-so or so-and-so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's nothing to react.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
names are meant to be action-oriented.
Yes.
So that when someone calls your name, they remind you of what your divine destiny is.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's facts.
That's why I corrected my name.
Yeah.
Because I had a name that told me who I was. Now, blessings on my father.
Oh, yeah.
Because let me put to you another side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because my father had already joined the ancestors. My father joined the ancestors in 1992. 10 years later is when I corrected my name.
Mm.
So along with the process of speaking to shamans, priests, indigenous priests, and priestesses, and talking to Babalao, and talking to those priests and priestesses that I valued, and elders, period.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, I began to realize that I had to come one with my father, because I'm junior. And I realized that as we move into this next generation of knowledge and wisdom, in Kemet, in Kush Kemet, also called Egypt, whenever a dynasty came to power, the people that developed the dynasty, like the first Neset Biti of the Old Kingdom, or the Middle Kingdom, or the New Kingdom, or the Napatan Kingdom, which is also called the 25th Dynasty, they were not the ones that originated that dynasty. It was always the ones before. For instance, when you look at the Napatan Dynasty, also called the 25th Dynasty, the first Neset Biti of the Napatan or the 25th Dynasty was Pianki. But Pianki wasn't the one that established the 25th Dynasty. It was Kashta, his father, and his uncle Alara, Kashta's brother, that ended the 24th Dynasty. And his son started the 25th dynasty.
Wow.
But Kashta and Alara were not part of the 25th dynasty. They were part of the 24th dynasty.
Mm.
The same happens with the Mentuhoteps and the Inteps of the Middle Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
The same is true of the Akmose of the New Kingdom. Sekenere and Sennacherib ended the 17th dynasty. And their son and grandson started the 18th dynasty.
Mm.
So when I look at what we're doing, when I look at what I am doing,
Mm-hmm.
I am ending a dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
And it's our children that will start the new way.
Mm.
That's the psychology of what every generation does. It's built on the elders, like Asar and Heru. It's built on the elder, but it is the younger that actually manifests the new way.
Mm.
And their parents end the old way.
Mm.
So what I'm doing is I'm ending the old way.
Mm.
But to do that, brother Orisa Bami, I had to become one with my father.
Mm. Sure.
So I had to become a bridge between him and the new generation. So I told you my name was Booker Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
But Buka, Baka is Kaba backwards.
Wow.
Kamene is Coleman.
Wow.
So what I did in structuring my correction is I stayed one with the love for my father. Because he was so proud of that name from Tuskegee. And then when I became a teacher, it just was manifest it was a destiny that was manifested by him.
That's deep.
Coming out of Alabama, moving to New York, meeting my mother, marrying her, giving birth to my sister and to myself. And so what I did was I created a bridge. So Buka became Kaba. And Coleman became Kamene.
That's deep. Now, see, look, I'm learning something new tonight because I didn't know that. I knew the backstory. I knew the original story we started with, but I didn't know that. That's dope. Because what that reminds me of the infinity symbol, and then also, what is it? The last shall be first, and the first shall be last. Like there is no end. I think on the last show I was speaking about that in regards to spirit. We're infinite. We don't die. We transform.
Oh yes.
Not, you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yes.
And
that's science.
Yeah.
Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It has always existed. It just transforms and manifests itself according to the changes, situations, alter cases.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And so all I am is another manifestation of my mother and my father.
Yep.
Who was a manifestation of their parents.
Yep.
Who was manifestation of their parents.
Mm-hmm.
We have always been here.
Yeah.
We just needed to be manifested or concretized, materialized, because matter is materialized energy.
Talk to him. Yes, sir. Listen,
science, brother.
Yeah.
And to the community, I had a conversation with a young brother today. Phenomenal brother. Calls me, we talk. He's doing a number of different things. He calls me to talk and bounce ideas. And what I have found as I visit various places, even around the world, places I've gone, and I'm with my people, our people, all around the world. Our treatment, we are a very spiritual people. But in being mistreated and purposefully underdeveloped, denial of rights, denial of education, denial of ancestry, denial of language, denial of celebrating our values, our interests, and our principles. There's a side of us that is emotional. Emotion is not bad. There's two types of emotion. There is a negative emotion, which is anger. In anger, you cannot produce because anger draws on energy. However, the positive emotion is passion. That's positive. And when you're passionate, you can produce. You see?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And my father often said, my father in Tuskegee, George Washington Carver was there.
Mm.
And he said that George Washington Carver used to always tell the students never to let a man bring you down so low as to make you hate them. And it took a while for a young brother like me to understand what that meant. Because when the emotion of hate is within, it drains you of your productive energy. But my mother used to say, well, Booker, that might be true, but Black folk have a right to be righteously indignated, or righteous indignation. Black people have a right to have righteous indignation. And in that righteous indignation is where Malcolm taught us self-defense isn't violence, it's intelligence. Don't get it confused.
That's facts. Professor Kaba, let me ask you something. I never asked you this before, on or off air, but I'm curious as to, from the time I started studying you, from the very first YouTube video that I saw you on, all the way through the Hidden Color series, all the way through Out of the Darkness, all the different documentaries you've been in, you've done a lot of work. How were you always born with that same calm, cool, collected demeanor? Or did you used to be different in your younger? Because I never asked you that, but I'm curious, and I'm sure other people probably want to know too. As far as, because that you are who you are, on air, off air, on the phone, in real life, like always composed, smooth, even keel, like just chill. Like, how did you get to be like that? Or were you born that way, or how did you develop that skill set?
I wasn't born like this. I became like this. I grew up in a home where my parents were activists. My mother worked for the National Urban League, a man by the name of Lester Granger. She was a secretary. My father belonged to a church, Mother AME Zion Church in Harlem. The pastor was Reverend Benjamin Robeson, who was the brother to Paul Robeson.
Hmm.
So I grew up a certain way. And I was a young, angry, ready to kill. When I was young, my face used to break out. I stuttered. I was so emotional, so pissed off. I was pissed. And it impacted me internally, which breaking out with all sorts of bumps and whatnot is one of the results of that feeling. And one day in my teenage years, I was really ready to do something. I'm not going to tell you it was a voice. I'm not going to tell you it was a person. But something came over me. And if I could put what I felt into words, it said, You don't have to worry. I'm going to take care of them.
Sure.
And I want you to know something. I am going to bring something on them that even you can't imagine. So calm down and do what you got to do. Everything will be all right. The next time I felt like that was on April 3rd, 1968, when I heard the speech by Dr. Martin Luther King. When he told us the last 1 minute and 19 seconds, you know, in my book, Shabaka Stone, on page 93. See, you asked a question. I wasn't preparing to do this. I would have had this page ready for you.
Listen, look, I'm always trying to figure out different ways to ask the questions that, do these types of things.
Okay.
Yes,
well,
sir.
What I write on page 93, Shabaka Stone, is all things being granted and the human being having reached the age necessary to bring him or her to the top of self-consciousness, they then ascend into the realm of cosmic consciousness. The superconceptual intellect is intuitively instinct. Cosmic consciousness is developed by a cosmic sense. The highest sense that controls evil thoughts, destroys sin and shame. The sense of good and evil contrasted by each other. This cosmic mind does not labor, but is energized by human activity. Some of the other characteristics that attained include, now, here are characteristics of being superconscious.
Yeah.
In my study.
Mm-hmm.
Characteristic of the sense of external existence. That you understand that you are not who you are, but you are outside of yourself, an entity of the cosmos. A loss of fear of death is another characteristic. Moral exaltation, which means that you have exalted truth and justice, righteousness, balance, order, arrangement, and reciprocity. Intellectual illumination.
I like that.
Okay, that you have now attained that intellect of the Akashic records, that you realize that you are a thought in itself. You have a sudden, instant, increased mental awareness. You have a prophetic stimulation of the personal aura, or what is called charm. And the seventh one is you have spiritual transmutation. Now, to continue that, here is Dr. King. Last speech on April 3rd, 1968, in Memphis, Tennessee. He is an example of a human being attaining and expressing Atum's cosmic consciousness. Now, I want to compare the characteristic of cosmic consciousness with the last time Dr. King spoke publicly. This is how he ended his I've been to the mountaintop Atumic speech. Let me stick a pin there for a minute and tell you a story that I've been told by people who were with Dr. King.
Oh, boy. For
instance, Reverend Bernard Lafayette. I was with him in Tampa, Florida.
Shout out to the 813.
Okay. We were developing a charter school.
That's what's up.
In Atlanta. And we met in Tampa. And Dr. Lafayette was there. And he was invited to our meeting to talk about. And there were others that through time have told me about Dr. King. Now, Dr. King wasn't feeling well. Because remember, he had already gone to Memphis. And he had to sort of kind of postpone the march because things happened that weren't supposed to happen. And he promised the sanitation department, the black sanitation workers, that he'd come back to do the march. And so this is his return. He's now back there. Now, Dr. King wasn't feeling well. Maybe flu or cold. Because of his workload, he was tired. And so he went to sleep, and he told Reverend Abernathy, Ralph Abernathy. He said, Ralph, go there and you speak to the people. Take my place tonight. And so you know that Ralph Abernathy and Dr. King was like Batman and Robin.
I didn't know that.
Where you saw one, you saw the other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they were cut buddies.
Wow.
They were ride and die with each other.
That's
but
what's
Dr.
up.
King was the person, Ralph Abernathy was his supporter.
Mm.
So Ralph Abernathy said, sure, Martin, I'll go. And so he went.
Mm-hmm.
But when the moment the crowd saw Ralph Abernathy, they automatically assumed that Dr. King was somewhere near.
Mm.
So they started to chant Dr. King's name. This is a story told to me by people that were there.
Wow.
So this ain't where I read it. This is
Right,
where I
right,
knew.
right.
Dr. King was at the Lorraine Motel.
Wow.
This is April 3rd.
Mm.
And so Ralph said, listen, man, these people don't want to see me.
Can't see you.
Let's get Martin on the phone. Let's call him because they want to see him. So they called. Now, Dr. King went to bed in the hotel not feeling well.
Mm-hmm.
But they say when they woke Dr. King up to respond to the phone call, the person that woke up was not the person that had gone to sleep.
Wow.
There was something about him that transcended his existence.
That's deep.
He took the phone call and he said, okay, Ralph, warm the crowd up. I'm on my way.
Mm.
This is the speech that he gave. I've been to the mountaintop. So I had to stick that in there to help you understand cosmic consciousness, to help what I was going through as a young man.
Mm-hmm.
And how this reminded me. Because you see, I got this feeling after this speech.
Wow.
But the moment that I felt this way with the murder of Dr. King, the murder of Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, okay, I was in an emotional, angry state as a young black man living in the projects in New York City.
Mm. Yeah. That'll do it.
But the moment that feeling came over me, there was a counter remembrance of this speech.
Mm.
Now, again, I'm not talking in the twilight zone, so I'm not trying to make anybody think that something possessed me or anything like that. But for those that know African spirituality, you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Here's Dr. King's speech, and here's evidence of his cosmic consciousness. And the person that woke up was destined to give this speech that night for that reason. Here's Dr. King. Here's the characteristic. The characteristic, remember I told you the sense of external existence. In his speech, Dr. King says, like anybody, I'd like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. The sense of external existence, living, having a life, having a purpose. Another characteristic I told you was a loss of fear of death. In his speech, the last 1 minute and 19 seconds, he tells us, but I'm not concerned about that now. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. He lost his fear of death. Moral exaltation. In his speech, he says, I just want to do God's will. And he's allowed me to go up to the mountain. Now remember Shabaka stone. You have the water. Ptah is the mountain that comes out of the water. And you have Atum that sits atop Ptah and calls things into being. And that is creative consciousness. And this is what Dr. King says. Intellectual illumination. I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. That is a premonition. This is consciousness that Dr. King is telling us. Remember I said sudden, instant, increased mental awareness. Now here's the key. He says, I may not get there with you. Now, brothers and sisters, you have to ask yourself, what did that mean? Because when he said this, he knew intuitively, instinctively, that 24 hours from that moment, he would no longer be with us. because he was assassinated on April 4th. The next day, he was assassinated. But this speech was very important to give so that the people will know, I may not get there with you. Prophetic stimulation of the personal aura, he says, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. And that becomes so important, Brother Orisa Bemi, and to the family. Don't lose hope. And don't think that these Indo-Europeans can create a world that you're not going to be charged with rebuilding. We did it before with the Moors. We brought them out the Dark Ages. We did it with the Romans, and we did it with the Greeks, and we did it with the Persians, and we've done it all over the planet under all certain circumstances, and it is on our back that they tethered their existence. They're parasites. And then finally, spiritual stimulation. He says at the end, mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord and all. He never finished his sentence. If you see it, you'll see. When he gets to the point where he says, the glory of the coming of the Lord and all is the last thing you can hear him say. He goes over to the chair and he almost collapses in the chair. The reason why that's important, family, the reason why Dr. King did not finish his statement, did not finish his speech, is because it's up to us. Like I told you about how dynasties were created, that the elder passed on to the younger to start. That's what got me out of that feeling. And from that day, remembering Dr. King said that we as a people would get to the promised land and that he would not get, that was prophetic. He prophesied. And so that's the strength that I come before my community. That's the strength that I speak to you with. That the calmness that you feel is spiritual understandings. It's going to happen. Tell the children. We got, Dr. King said during that speech, we got difficult days ahead.
Oh, yeah.
And Malcolm also told us what's going on now. So between Martin Luther King talking about we got difficult days ahead, but we're going to make the promised land. El Haj Malik El Shabazz told us, one of the last things he ever told us that was of importance in terms of what was going on, the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. He said, chickens have come home to roost. That's America 2026.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Okay, wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed.
Yes, sir. That's the song I put on a little post for us to promote tonight. Wake up, everybody.
There we go.
Sleeping in bed. Yeah, we got to wake up, man. That's powerful. Oh, man, I'm so glad that question came to me because that resonates within me. That resonates deep down into my soul, and the alignment of it all, like to bring it all home, is when you said that. I'm not surprised because I feel like in order for someone to achieve a level of mastery or a level of a very highly developed skill, you have to have went through hell, or you have to have went through some really, really dark, tough times in order for that to happen. And I look at that as one of the quotes and metaphors I use, like in some of my conversations with people, is like, you can't become a diamond if you ain't had to go through that cold. It's just not possible. You're not going to be strong enough. You're not going to be tough enough. You ain't going to be brilliant enough. You're not going to shine bright enough. You have to chip away at the coal that created, you know what I'm saying, and formed and made the formation of that diamond in order for you to truly become or elevate or evolve into something sort of a diamond. So it's like, for me, I never asked that question. I don't even think it ever crossed my mind until tonight, but it's a beautiful thing to hear that story. And then I look at what you're wearing. And that's going to kind of get me to segue into where I want to go with some more.
But can I just add to what you just said, brother?
Yes, sir. It's all yours.
In my book, Carbon Before Melanin, That is what I'm trying to get to
Mm.
in developing this story of understanding what you just said about a diamond.
Mm.
Because you see, coal and all the other things come out of what we call fossil fuels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, the gasoline you put in your car comes from living matter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's black.
Yes.
Black oil that is chemicalized into gasoline, which is clear and crystal.
Mm-hmm.
When you're dealing with coal, the fossil fuels are under a great deal of pressure. And what makes the diamond is the pressure that the black coal is put through. Just as gasoline is crystallized black oil, a diamond is crystallized black coal and other black things in the earth. But don't stop there, because I can take you into the cosmos and I can talk to you about nanodiamonds. And nanodiamonds is blackness in the heavens, that it's dark matter that is put under pressure by dark energy. And it's pushed in on itself. The matter is pushed in on itself and pushed in on itself until it is a little black ball. And there is no more space in this ball for the matter to be pushed in. So it implodes. And when it implodes, that's the birth of a star. Stars are crystallized blackness. Gasoline is crystallized black oil put under pressure. Diamonds are crystallized blackness put under pressure. Black people in America today is blackness that's put under pressure. And the reason why, and I try not to tell people, but I'm going to tell you this. Don't tell nobody I told you this, though. Black people in America are supreme. We're not supreme because we're black. We're supreme because of the pressure that we've been put under, and still we rise. We are walking diamonds. We've been hardened. We have value because of our experiences. And I, being born in a project in Midtown Manhattan, put under the pressures that all young black people are put through, but always sensing something else, the spirit. And whatever I did, I always promised myself I would come back into my community. I've been given offers in my life that would deviate from what I'm doing now. But spirit kept me on my divine destiny, on my path to unite our people. And that's what I will do. And when they bury me and they put my headstone where I'm buried, it's going to say, keep on keeping on. It ain't over till we win.
That part. I say. Yeah, that's powerful. Oh, man. And you know, whew, yeah, that's a lot. It's amazing to me because one of the thoughts that came to my mind when you were sharing, and it's funny because I was reading along with you. So, Tribe, if you don't have yours, get your copy of the Shabbat Stone. But I was reading along with you when you were sharing the message from Dr. King. That is so profound to me because in hindsight, I'm thinking about from the very first time I met you, a matter of fact, from the very first video I ever saw, The Black People Come From Sirius. You spoke about nanodiamonds and you spoke about how, you know, that all tied into Sirius and how it all tied into Sirius B and Potolo and, you know, the power of how strong that little small star is. But I forgot how you broke it down, but it was extremely significant amount of power within it, that just a little bit in a thimble. I forgot how you broke it down, but it was powerful. But I say all that to say,
a thimble full of sagala, which is what Sirius B is made of. It is so dense. Okay, a thimbleful. You put a thimble on your finger when you're when you're sewing things. That a thimbleful of sagala is 2,000 tons in weight, which is 80,000 pounds. A thimbleful.
Just a thimble.
Another brother that I have. I always believe a prophet is not a psychic. A prophet is just a good historian.
Yeah.
Because when you know what happened in the past, you can interpret what's happening in the present, and you can predict what's going to happen in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to just quote, if I may, the last song on this brother's last album, when he said, "Oh, pirates, yes, they rob I. Sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit. But my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? Because all we've ever had is a redemption song." But the second stanza he repeats twice. "Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery, because none but ourselves can free our minds." Now check this out. "Have no fear for atomic energy, Western civilization. Have no fear for atomic energy, because none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We have to fulfill the book. So won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? Because all we've ever had are these redemption songs." This is the message that our people have to understand. None of them can stop the time. They don't have the quality or the content of character to stop us. We've done it before. We're going to do it again. We've got to give the legacy to our children for them to pass it on.
Wow. That's oh man, that's deep. Let me tell you how deep that is, Professor Kaba. The very first time I saw you was in the church in, I want to say, Charleston, South Carolina, not too long after the dude came and was shooting up in one of them other churches. It was the very first time I saw you, and I'll never forget it. And in that day, in that time, I got the picture. I'm gonna edit it into the episode of this. I had on a Bob Marley t-shirt that said exactly that phrase, that quote, none but us can free ourselves. Literally, I had that. And then what's even more amazing to me is the last episode I did, I had on a Bob Marley shirt. Like literally. So it's like that his spirit is here heavy, heavy with us tonight, man. For real. That's powerful.
Something? I tell this story all the time. I probably told you this story. The greatest concert that I ever went to was in Maryland in the spring of 1978. Bob Marley opened up for the Isley Brothers.
Wow.
Okay. And the last song, Bob Marley does his last song. Okay. And he goes off the stage. And then all of a sudden you can hear his guitar. And he ends with, he comes on his encore, Exodus, Movement of the People.
I love that song too. Oh, man.
And he does that, brother, and the whole auditorium. This is a huge auditorium in Maryland, and we are going off.
Yes, I love that song. Oh,
okay.
God,
and if anyone has ever been at a Bob Marley concert, you know what I'm talking about. And at that moment in time, I gained a supreme respect for the Isley Brothers. Because when you're putting a concert together, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Who you let open for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because if that group that opens for you,
they can still
got more going on than you, people ready to go home.
Yeah.
But as he's exiting, you hear guitar. Ernie Isley.
Mm.
The Isley brothers are coming on stage and they sing Fight the Power.
Yeah, that's what's
Fight
up.
the powers that be.
Mm. Mm.
That was not a concert.
Mm-mm.
That was a spiritual experience.
Oh, yeah.
Homeboy went to church
Yes, sir.
that day, not church.
Shout out my grandma. Shout out to Z lady. That's how she said.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Now, the second concert that I was impressed with was in New York. My wife and I, we weren't married at this time.
Mhm.
This was in 1980.
So yeah, I was born.
When Bob Marley opened up for the Commodores. Now, I'm going to tell you a story that I've been told by folk that knew Bob Marley, that he had been told, don't do that concert. Because the Commodores was the #1 group at this time. And that they didn't want Bob Marley to use up all his energy in this concert. But when that brother hit the stage, you see what I mean with Dr. King and his last speech?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. This is what I felt at this concert.
Wow.
Okay. And this was going towards 1981. Bob Marley then went to Pittsburgh in 1981. And he collapsed on stage and died from that.
Wow.
The story is that Bob Marley wanted to make contact with the foundational Black American community. He wanted to take reggae music and the message that he had for us, and he wanted to impact us in America. That's where Buffalo Soldier comes from. Dreadlock Rasta, fighting for America. He wanted to unite us as a people. No more fighting. We're one people. And when he was able to do that concert with the Commodores, he drew an African-American community that may not have known that much about him, but certainly knew a lot about the Commodores.
Yes, sir.
And so, brother, my comment to us is that between Dr. King and El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz and all the great, Harriet Tubman and all of the great people, Marcus Garvey, Pedro Albizu Campos from Puerto Rico, great freedom fighter.
Yeah.
We're all one people.
Yeah.
And we have to stop fighting each other over superficial issues.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's profound. Yeah, oh man, you dropped some legendary stories tonight, man. And you know what's funny? I wanted to put the word griot into this title, but I was like, I wanted to keep it short and sweet. But because I'm looking at doing a series where I'm gonna bring back, because I remember you actually told me that I should probably do this on one of our shows, where I should bring back all the interviews I've done with you and the Baba Smallses of the world, and all the elders who I've been blessed to interview over through all the years of my little career as a podcaster, and like rerun them, because I forgot how you broke it down, but you was like, because the information is still relevant. I feel like I know they're just as important. They might be more important now than they was even when we originally recorded these interviews, because of what's going on right now.
That's right.
Like, for real. So I'm going to have to bring them back for real.
Well, even Bob Marley said that a king is not always welcomed and honored in his kingdom.
Yes. Yeah. Facts.
And so it's important to understand that things that you say yesterday sometimes are more relevant than they were then than today.
Yeah. Yeah.
What El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz said, chickens have come home to roost. I mean, we thought that he was talking about the assassination.
Right.
And he was.
Yeah.
But that comment is as, if not more applicable today with what we see in 2026.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about the turds that's in the house now.
Okay. You know, my brother, I know I've told this story before. And it's important. This is a curriculum I wrote. Okay. This curriculum is, you can see 87, because this is when I first wrote this. I had been to Egypt twice. I went to Mexico with Dr. Ivan Van Sertima in 1984. And I came back and I decided I wanted to write a curriculum for children. Okay, that's what this is. This is a curriculum. It's not so much a book. It's a curriculum, how to teach this information, how to teach Kush Kemet, vocabulary words, objectives in your lesson. Because I'm a teacher. I'm fundamentally a teacher. And I just want my Floridian brothers and sisters to know that I was contracted by Broward County in Fort Lauderdale to come to Broward County and work with the Fort Lauderdale Board of Education, along with my teacher, another one of my teachers, Dr. Asa Hilliard. Okay, Nana before Amant Twakia. His job was to work with the administrators, the principals, the superintendent of schools. My job was to work with the teachers. This is the curriculum that I gave them. Africans in Mexico, Africans in South America, the pyramids, how they were built, what they were built from, the math that built the pyramids. That's what this is. This is the curriculum that your governor, DeSantis, got rid of. This is the curriculum. When he came in and he said he was going to get rid of DEI, this is what he got rid of. He got rid of my curriculum. Because this was so powerful amongst the teachers. Specifically, Black teachers who were interested in teaching this. We created in one of the classrooms, we created in a corner a star system where the students backtracked and found out what the stars looked like during the time of the building of the 3 pyramids of Khufu, Khafra, and Menkaure. The whole corner of the classroom, they had drawn stars and constellations, and they built a pyramid, the 3 pyramids with the 3 minor pyramids or Meru that went with those. That's how powerful this was. They was getting into science. This is what scared DeSantis. So that's my relationship with Florida.
Well,
but I wanted to redo it. Once he did this, I said, I can't let that go. So what I did is that I created the curriculum. I redid it and I published it. It's on my website if you're interested.
I definitely am. Matter of fact,
you know, my brother Orisa Bemi, I ain't playing with these people.
No, trust me, I know.
Okay, we ain't got time for this.
No, absolutely.
We don't have time to fight amongst ourselves.
Nope. Not at all.
These people are scared. You heard what Elon Musk said. He said, if white men don't come together, we will be eradicated. But the thing is, we don't have to eradicate them. Their lack of production of melanin is going to eradicate them.
Yeah.
But what happens if they are eradicated? Are we, as a people, prepared to lead our people in politics? Are we prepared to have an economic system that sustains us? Are we prepared to create our own educational systems? How about our entertainment industry? Are we ready to be able to have a positive entertainment? All of the areas that Neely Fuller highlights in the compensatory code of white supremacy. Rel, Cell, Wep, religion. There we go. That's it.
Yeah.
Religion, economics, labor. Are we hiring our own people? How about our gender issues? He calls it sex. I tend not to use sex because that word conjures up different things in 2026.
Right.
I call it gender issues. Hey, brothers and sisters, are we prepared to relate to each other again? Can we as brothers love our sisters and respect them and honor them? Can we understand they belong on the throne that's next to us? They're not above us. They're not below us. They're not behind us. They're not in front of us. They're beside us.
Mm-hmm.
Are we ready for those gender issues?
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to build a nation. A society is only as strong as its weakest family.
Mm-hmm.
How about
Yeah.
education? That's my lane. Are we prepared to educate our children? Yes, I am. So I just want to let you know that. Yes,
Yep.
I am.
Oh yeah.
I've got it in place.
Yeah.
The other thing I have is a study guide that outlines not just what to teach, but how to teach. All in here. I'm ready. How about law? What I'm telling lawyers that are in law school, study Moorish law.
Mm.
And one thing you can do right now is go out and get Black Law's Dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
First thing you can do. If somebody say, well, how do I do that? Get Black Law's Dictionary, because you're going to find that a lot of things are going on right now. Are these people violating the Constitution? Read Black Law. Blacks. And now Black doesn't mean the person.
Right.
It's called Black Law's Dictionary. Although it could, in many ways. Understand what the law is. It's not ma'at.
Not at all.
Okay? And how about security? Can we secure ourselves? If you can't protect what you have, you don't own it.
Facts.
You're only holding on to it until someone stronger than you can come by and snatch it from you.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Entertainment. And then finally politics. Those are the 9 areas. Rel, Sel, Wep. RELSELWEP. Religion, economics, labor, sex, I call gender issue, education, law, security or war, entertainment, politics. Now, I took the liberty of adding one other area. He mentions it, but I think it's important enough to become a 10th area. Health and nutrition.
Yes. Yes, and more yes. Yep.
Because it doesn't make a difference how great a politician you are, how brilliant an educator you are, what a wonderful entertainer you are. It doesn't make a difference how much money you have. If you're sick, it doesn't make a difference who you are. We must change our pattern of behavior when it comes to food. So in those 10 areas, we have to raise a nation.
Yeah.
We have to home grow our politicians.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we got to rebuild a whole entire system.
That's
I mean, because this one's dead, you know, it's eating itself from the inside out. And it's, you know, you see the maggots and the parasites and all the other stuff, not maggots and all the other stuff happening. It's eating itself. But that brings me to one of the questions that I wanted to get into too, to really bring this thing home, is that what was America ever called anything prior to it being called America, to your knowledge, Professor Kaba?
You know, it's interesting because I could also apply that question to Africa.
There's a reason why I asked it.
You see, in my own personal perspective, this is my thoughts from my research. I don't think that early civilizations were concerned with naming the continent. I think they were nation-bound, not continent-bound. Indo-Europeans want to conquer land and then put a fence around it.
Yep.
And so they created concepts of the continents and they gave them names. Now, I understand that America, there are those that call it Turtle Island. I understand that. But I think the early indigenous peoples, Africans in particular, the first peoples that came here, were not concerned with naming the continent. Their psychological dimensions were not necessarily on naming the continent as much as their nation. Now, more research has to be done. What I'm saying is not a fact. I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know what the answer is. I know what people have said. But when I study the importance of understanding the African, the original, the universal psyche, they called the earth, the land, Ptah, which was a hill that came out of the water. We today call that Pangaea. They called it Ptah. And that's the war between the land and the sea that was going on because at one time the earth was a fiery ball of gas when it broke off or when it was sent away from the sun, like all the planets. And it's in a unique position in relationship to the sun that although it was a fiery ball of gas, at the same time it was far enough to be impacted by interstellar cold. And so the earth, in balance, it was hot, but it was cool. And in the hot coolness, what happened was the fact that there was a solid core of earth that would have volcanoes, earthquakes, and other things in the center of this gas ball that became water because it was cold. It became liquid. H2O. And this would explode and the land would come up and then it would go back down. Land would explode. And then at one time it came directly up. And the tip of that mountain was what we today call Africa. And the center of Africa was Central and Southern Africa at the tip of the mountain. And that's why life came from there. That's why when you look at Congo and Southern Africa, there's a plethora. There's a pregnancy of life. Lions, tigers, rhinoceri, hippopotami. And then that's where humans came from.
Professor Kaba, which one of the scholars, which one of your teachers was it? It was, I want to say it was Dr. Ben, but I'm not sure. I know you're going to know. But one of them, in one of their words, spoke that I think I don't know if it was Mount Kilimanjaro or which one, but they were saying at the foot of this particular mountain, the mountain of where like the human race was born.
Yes.
Can you share that wisdom with us?
The Hunefer papyrus that Dr. Ben talks about. Now we've never seen the Hunefer papyrus.
Okay.
We've just seen reference to it. Like we've never seen the Memphite text. We just know about it because of Shabaka stone. Is a rewritten version.
Gotcha. Okay.
But there is a papyrus of Turin in Italy that talks about the Kush Kemetic people saying that they were born at the foothills of the mountains of the moon.
That's it right there. That's what I was looking for. Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's Kilimanjaro.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
But that's where the Kush Kemet people came from. But the original family came from Kui land. That Dr. Richard King talks about. And that's the Central and Southern Africa that the Twa, Mbuti, Khoisan. Twa, Mbuti is Central Africa. Khoisan is Southern Africa, but they're the same people. They're just in different places in Central and Southern Africa. That is the tip of Pangaea.
That's deep.
It's rich in life.
Yeah.
Botanical life, zoology. And that's where humans came. They are derogatorily called pygmies.
Yeah.
But they are the original family. And the original language is called the Click language.
I think you had just shared something like that on one of your socials recently, if I'm not mistaken, about that. Yeah.
That's it.
I saw that. Wow.
That's a consonantal language. As the human family developed, they started to put vowels. A, E, I, O, U to separate the consonants. And that's what took the click language, which basically is consonants. That's why you're clicking. If anybody wants to hear what the click language sounds like, I recommend that you download a song called Pata Pata.
How you spell that?
P-A-T-A, P-A-T-A.
Okay.
By Miriam Makeba. Miriam, M-I-R-I-A-M, M-A-K-E-B-A. She also has a song called The Click Song, where you can hear what the click, that's the original language. I put that up on my site so that people can hear it. That's the first line. And guess what? Nature taught us that language.
Yeah. Because don't the dolphins speak in a similar language like that, if I'm not mistaken?
The dolphins speak in a very interesting language to themselves. And you know, when you deal with certain things, and you see, my thing is, we have been so, when I say we, I'm not talking about all of us.
Mm-hmm.
But many of our spiritual senses have been dulled down by the shallowness of Western civilization.
Yes. Facts.
We have not lost, but we have forgotten certain things.
Yep.
To bounce off that concept, and I'm going to return back to the dolphins and
Mm-hmm.
what they do.
Mm-hmm.
You have like bats.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
called echolocation.
Yep. Yep.
Where they send vibrations out.
Yep. Yeah, through the water.
And those vibrations come back, and according to the way in which it come back tells them how close they are to the object that they're going to bounce into if they don't be careful.
Yeah. Yeah.
As as everybody, think of the electrical eel that shines in the darkness of the water. As human beings, we have something called bioluminescence.
Ooh.
This ain't no Twilight Zone, family. This is science. BIOLUMINESCence, I believe, but bioluminescence. Bioluminescence is the fact that our bodies, like the eel, can light up. You've seen people that you say, wow, they were shining. What makes you, now, I'm not saying shine like a light. I'm talking about a biological shine. The way you are, the way you act. That comes from two dynamic concepts. One of them is your chakra systems. That's internal. You have 7 that go from your root chakra up to your crown chakra. 7 of them. You have a throat chakra. You have a pineal chakra. You have a heart chakra. Okay. And they're said to be wheels that turn. Now, whether they're wheels and all that, I'm not too concerned about that. What I do know is that there are things that are inside of us that are constantly vibrating. And according to how they vibrate, determines something that's known as your prana aura. And your prana aura, impacted by your chakra system, are levels of yourself that emanate outside of you. According to how you're vibrating, determines they could have colors, they could have sounds, they're waves. Because remember, you're made up of water. And so they have the waves. And the intensity of your prana aura is determined by the intensity of your chakra systems that take you to other levels. Now, I can connect that to Dr. King when he woke up that day. His chakra system was in place. It was moving, and out of that chakra system, that was the person that did not go to sleep. That was the person that woke up having been touched by the divine. And then that aura system, that prana aura came out. And as he spoke, you can see it. You can see that he's being used as a vehicle. He is like a carpenter's tool, like a musician's saxophone. He's being played by a creator to send a message to us. The last 1 minute and 19 seconds of his life. And so what I think we need to do with everything that we're experiencing is just to understand who we are as a people, what we have achieved as a people. But to go back to your question, brother, because I know
No, go. You do what you got to do.
My thing is that the way in which we think, I don't know if we had a name for the continent. I don't know if we were interested in naming the continent.
That makes sense.
What's the purpose?
That makes perfect sense.
And with all our research, if we found out there was a name for the continent, okay, now what? Where does it take us? What does it do for us?
Whew. Yeah, that's deep. And
so that's my answer to your question.
I love it. And I'm gonna bring up a question.
My first response, brother Orisa, is I don't know.
Right.
My second is I know that it has been called, like Africa was called Alkebulan.
Yeah.
And I know that America was called Turtle Island.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I don't know.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I don't know if it matters.
Yeah. We got some powerful, we got some dope questions and comments in the chat. I'm gonna bring y'all up, family. I see a few of them. I've starred that I want to get to before we get out of here. But one of the things that came across my mind, and I have to speak on this, Professor Kaba, is when you spoke about the Martin, I feel like transformation or even elevation is, you spoke about in his speech when he said reaching the mountaintop. And the first time you said it, I could not think of nothing but Obatala, because Obatala is the creator. He's the creator of all heads, the Ori, and then he is, one of his attributes and connections to nature is the mountaintop, the mountain. So the fact that he said that in that time, I feel like he had already elevated up into, you know what I'm saying, that realm of consciousness, that realm of frequency, that realm of the highest points in the sky.
Yes.
That's connected still to the earth.
Yes.
Is the mountaintop.
Yes. Absolutely. And let me tell you something else when you're dealing with Ifa and when you're dealing with all the spiritual systems. I have a section in my book, Who Were the Moors Before the Moors? Where I talk about the origins of the Olympics.
Yes. Oh yeah, you've hit that a few times on here too.
Coming from the Yoruba language, Olu.
Yeah.
Which means mountain. Olu. It's a derivation of O and Lu in Yoruba. How many words? Oludumare. How many brothers and sisters with a name with some derivation of Olu, Ola? Means mountain. Now let me ask you, who do you think invented the Olympics? The Mediterranean black people known as the Pelasgians. I have a chapter on the Pelasgians that's telling you where the Olympics came from. And sports, when you look at sports really is military science.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the competition in terms of military science teaching young people, women included, young girls, they were boxers too. But they boxed with only one hand. But the idea was that your training in sports was non-combatant military science. And when you look at the Olympics, look at how many events actually are military.
Yeah.
The javelin is the spear.
Oh yeah.
The discus and the shot put, throwing rocks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wrestling,
boxing, running.
Hell, probably even what's the one they jump with the high jump when you take the stick, the pole, and you're right, because you got to think about jumping over walls and getting.
That's it. You got to think over. That's right. You're jumping over walls when you do that. It came from military science. Sports is military science. And they were developed out of what was called the ball games that came from the Sed festival that was celebrated when the Neset Biti, or the Pharaoh, had to prove himself worthy of leading the nation militarily, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And it was the pyramids that they ran through. Because remember, there's 80 pyramids in Giza.
Yeah.
It's not just the 6 that we see, or the 7 or 8, which are the step pyramids.
A whole lot more.
There were over 80 pyramids, and that was a pyramid city, and it was a walled-in city. They've already found the remnants of the walls that brought all of this in, and those pyramids reflect right back to the constellation that we call Orion.
Yes, sir.
Which is a star.
Yeah. And that's dope. Because it didn't start there, though. If I'm not mistaken, Professor Kaba, there's some older pyramids that come from the land of Nubia. If I'm not, is it Kush? I should say, right?
Well, the thing is that the step pyramids, the only perfect pyramids are the ones that are in Giza.
Right. But there were pyramids that if I'm not mistaken, that predated the ones in Giza, right?
The step pyramids.
Sudan, yeah, in Sudan, I mean in Kush or Nubia.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And so, you know, what we have to do is study the term ring tumuli. Tumuli. That's plural for tumulus.
How you spell the whole word, Professor Kaba?
Well, it's ring. That's the first word.
Got you.
And then tumulus is singular. Tumulus. You can Google it right now and see it. Or you can go to my book and you'll see I have a chapter on the ring tumulus.
See, I got basically that one
book. The ring tumulus are earth-made mounds. And the development of the pyramids came from early humans studying these earth mounds. And according to how the sun cast its shadow on the mound, told the people what time of day it was, what season they were experiencing, according to their size. So when the early humans realized what they were actually telling them, they began to create them themselves and fashion them according to what they wanted. You know, I mean, we have them now, you know, where you know, we have sundials.
Yeah.
Sundials do the same thing. Let me take you to the beach. Now, y'all down there in Florida, you know what I'm talking about, because you can do this a lot all the time.
Man,
I mean, it's kind of cold there now, but, you know, basically when it gets warm, it's all good. But if I went to Orchard Beach in the Bronx, and I went there early in the morning, just before the sun rose, there were people on the beach who want to get a suntan. They would be aligned to the east, straight east. And as the day went on, they would move from east to west. You could tell what time it is according to how they're laying on the beach. Because everybody that wants a perfect tan would never not be in alignment with the sun, because when you do that, then you cast the shadow off to either left or right side. So that what happens is that when you are moving from, the sun is going from east to west, your body is moving in the direction in order for you to get a perfect tan. And you will always see people who want to get a perfect tan. They'll look to their right, look to their left to see where, if they're casting a shadow on the beach. And that's the sundial. That's the ring tumulus. And according to how the sun is casting its shadow, tells you what time of day it is. Another pyramid might tell you what season you're experiencing. And by the way, it was sisters that developed the math and science behind this, not men. Because you have to ask yourself, okay, in math, why would a human have to count? What's the purpose? Why would a man count? There's no reason for a man to count.
Right.
But there is a reason for a woman to count.
Yes.
Because she has to prepare for her monthly cycle.
Yep.
And so when the human being becoming conscious and becoming aware and learning through nature, which is her cycle, she starts to count the days. And when she counts the days, she comes to realize that there are 4 periods, if I may call it that, of her life cycle. She started arithmetic and mathematics.
Yeah.
Then, with this in mind, she looked up into the heavens and she saw there was a celestial body that went through a 28, 29-day cycle. And it too had 4 periods. The moon. Brothers, I know you can't answer this question, but sisters, you know that according to your cycle, during your time, the moon has an impact on you. That's what sisters told me. I can't come to you with experience. I can only tell you what sisters have told me. That there are different manifestations in a woman, so that there is a relationship between the heavens and the earth. And the study of the moon started the calendrical system, because every calendar is based on the lunar cycle.
Facts. Yeah.
So our sisters were able to create a 365.25 calendar. But then she also noticed another astronomical experience over thousands of years of experiencing this. And she realized that there was a leap year. See, we don't have leap year. We call it leap year, but it's really leap day. Every 4 years, we add a day to February.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to our sisters in Africa, the leap year, after every 2,160 years, they added a year. So really, a cycle is 2,161 years. Don't believe me? I think the number was 1,460.
1,460? Okay.
Yes. 365 into
right.
1,460. And the great year was 2,160.
Yeah, but yeah, it is 4. It is 4.
Okay. Now, the great year was 12 houses of 2,160. But she didn't stop there, because then she created a great year. After thousands and thousands of years of experiencing, our sisters created the great year, which is 26,000 years. There are 12 houses.
That's deep. Let me, because you, oh man, you're going in. Professor Kaba, is there any connection between what we're talking about now with math?
You get 25,920, because they had an 80-year play with time. So they added 80 to 25,000, you know, and that's how they got the great year. 25,920 plus 80, 26,000 years. So, see, Western civilization is really not very bright. They really are not bright. That's why it's so dangerous. We're going off the cliff with them. If we don't check ourselves, we be by ourselves. I'm telling you what I know. They don't know. We're with the Gregorian calendar that was created by Gregory. He didn't even know what he was doing when he did it. The real calendar is 3 weeks of 10 days.
Yeah. I remember you teaching us that a while ago too. Yeah.
With a 13th month, which is 5 days. It's called the epigomenal month.
Real quick, Professor Kaba, because you going deep, as we always do, as you always do. Is there any connection between the arithmetic, the math, the cycles, based upon when we now talk about or shift to the Dogon cosmology and the celebration of the Sigui ceremony, which is what, every 60 years?
Yes.
Does that tie into the math that you just broke down with the 2160 and the 1460 and the 365 in any way?
Well, what you're looking at really is another cycle. You see, here's one of our challenges.
Astrological cycle, right?
Yeah.
Okay, got you. Gotcha.
See, what we have to do, and this will happen as time goes on, because like I say, there's so much more. The more I learn, how much more I have to learn.
Yes, facts.
And this is why what I'm laying out, what I'm attempting to do, and I'm sure that this is what most, if not all, the scholars are doing. We're laying it out for our children to do better.
Facts.
Okay, to take it to the next level. Because we have been so contaminated by nonsense. You know, this is like Dr. Wade Noble's brilliant psychiatrist out of California. He says Western civilization is vomit.
It is.
And he said that when the Greeks sat down, the Persians didn't even count. The Persians were in and out. They didn't even count. They didn't try to do it. There was like 181 years they were in power. But the Greeks were there from 332 until 30 BC, a little over 300 years. They didn't last that long either. But when the Greeks sat down to listen to that knowledge and wisdom, it was too rich for their intellectual system. And they didn't have the intellectual enzymes to break down what they were learning. And like all rich meals that cannot be digested, you gurgitate it. The Romans then took it and regurgitated it. And this is Western civilization. The Moors tried to help them out.
Yeah.
Them Visigoths and Vandals and Ostrogoths, they just couldn't handle this knowledge and wisdom. And so it's vomit. But don't throw it away. Of course, you don't eat it. It don't smell good at all. Examine it. Because in that vomit is the original meal that was prepared by the Kush Kemet people. So when you examine the vomit, you'll find out what was cooked. Now go to your African market and get the ingredients that prepared that meal, because you, as African people, have the enzymes to break that meal down. This society is vomit. In all the 10 areas that I listed: health and nutrition, religion,
it's all stolen legacy.
You can see it's not working. And every system that falls because they don't respect the woman. One of the first things we have to do, family, is to respect our sisters and understand the female energy, because when you disrespect the woman, you are disrespecting your mother.
And you're disrespecting God.
Because you are half your mother. I don't celebrate women's history. Well, I celebrate women's history existence. But in March, Women's History Month, I celebrate it because I'm half a woman. I know a lot of men, they get twisted when I say that. But you see, you don't understand the balance of the male and female energy. Okay? And so you misconstrue what I mean when I say I'm half a woman, because I got a mother. And having a mother, I'm half a woman.
But Professor
Kaba, when a
Kaba,
woman is denigrated, I am denigrating myself, even if I'm the one doing the denigration.
Because we can go even deeper. I know you can go way deeper, but let's just look at biology. The man's nipples are what? Almost a mutated form of the woman's breast that we can't produce. The penis is just a enlarged version of the female's clitoris, correct?
Well, it's an external. If you go inside of a woman, you could turn a male penis inside of your body, and that becomes the vaginal channel of a woman.
Is that not the same as like in the fallopian tubes, how the two I forgot the name of those body parts, but that's like the inverted version of the male's extra the
ovum.
Ovaries are like an internal version of a male's So what are we talking about here? We're looking at a mirror image.
The Devonian period. The Devonian period, millions of years ago, was when the androgynous being that self-impregnated itself split and became male and female. Until then, there was no such thing as sex, or I should say reproductive activities. And it wasn't that it was a woman, and it wasn't that it was a man. It was androgynous. It was the balance of both male and female, and that's who each and every one of us is.
Facts.
We are half man, half woman.
Yeah.
Half mother, half father.
Yes.
Daddy's X chromosome, Y chromosome. My daddy gave my mommy his X chromosome, mated with my mother's X chromosome, became my sister. My daddy gave my mother his Y chromosome, my mother's X chromosome. I was born. Science.
Yes, sir. Oh man.
They say, it's just science. But see, people who have a contaminated mind take that to other levels, and then they imagine other things that I'm talking science here. We ain't in the Twilight Zone.
No, sir.
And the original universe was androgynous. That's why it cannot be replicated. The cosmic womb was impregnated by the cosmic panspermia. It self-impregnated itself and gave birth to the stars, to the clusters, to the superclusters.
That's deep. Yeah, because then we can go all the way to Dr. Gabriel Yibo's
there we go.
theory. You know what I mean? So that's real deep. Real deep.
Yeah. Wow. In Spirituality Before Religions, when he rewrote Grand Unified Theory, if you go to YouTube, you'll see a conversation that he and I had.
Yeah. Excuse me. I watched that several times, actually.
Yeah.
What year was that recorded in, Professor Kaba?
This was in 1999.
Okay, because I was going to say that was long
Clark
before
had just passed away.
Okay. Yeah, because that was before I got exposed to you. I mean, I got exposed to your work, and I just went back and started looking at all your old work that was online. But that was long before I actually knew of your, like, where you were back then, doing the work. But that's powerful.
We did a presentation, and that's in my resource center in the Bronx. Where a good brother, Clemson Brown, Reverend Clemson Brown, one of the original videographers, came and Dr. Gabriel Yibo and myself. And what I did was he put forward his formula for the God Almighty Grand Unified Theory. And what I did is that he spoke for 20 minutes and then I spoke for 20 minutes. And when we did that, he laid out his formula, and then I came and I took Shabaka stone. And what I did is I put every one of the variables of Shabaka stone. I took every one of his variables and I put it in his formula. Now, what is the Grand Unified Theory? That's the other thing. You have people in the early days that created quantum theory, quantum mechanics, which is the littlest of things, quantum. And there were laws that regulated quantum physics. Okay. Max Planck. Okay. Planck. Just in case you want to Google this, because family, don't believe a word I say.
Look it up.
My job isn't for you to believe me. My job is simply to make you think. Okay. And so Max Planck came up with this concept of the littlest of things, these small things. By 1905, a man by the name of Albert Einstein came up with two theories. One was the general law of relativity, and the other was the general law of relativity and the special law of gravity. The special law of relativity. The special law of relativity dealt with electricity and magnetism, electromagnetism. His general law dealt with gravity. Okay. And in this, he came to realize that the sun and the planets, okay, they revolve around the sun. And there are formulas that are applied that deal with that outside large world, relativity, the sun and the planets. Max Planck dealt with the breakdown of the atom, and he saw that there were basically, there's this, it can get smaller than that, but he dealt with the atom that had the nucleus and the proton and then the electron. And he noticed that the electron circled around the nucleus of the atom. Later physicists came up with the concept that, well, if there are laws that deal with the small world, the atomic world, and if there are laws that deal with the planetary laws, relativity, then is there one theory that connects the small world with the large world? And they call that the grand unified theory, that connected the atoms in our body to the planets in our solar system. Many people have tried to get this. Albert Einstein was trying to get this formula in place. But I'll tell you now, Dr. Gabriel Oyibo found it. And what I'm also telling you, and he puts it in his book, which I quote in my book, is that our ancestors knew that formula. And that was the Shabaka stone. What unites us to the cosmos? We are microcosmos.
That's deep. And he even broke it down mathematically, if I'm not mistaken, right? To where he even was able to show, like literally show God based out of mathematical equations and numbers.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And that is the God Almighty grand unified theory. And that's what the Shabaka stone is saying. And basically what we are is only one atom. There's only one atom that exists. And that's hydrogen. Okay. And at the moment that the Big Bang occurred, hydrogen split into two. And when you deal with number 2 in the periodic table of elements, that is helium. When you have 3 hydrogen atoms fused, that's lithium. When you have 6, you have carbon. 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. And the reason why they tell you that 666 is the mark of the devil is because to them, the devil is black.
One more time, Professor Kaba. Can you say that again for the people in the back?
Okay. Periodic table of elements. There is only one atom that exists, and that's hydrogen. Water. Not the water that we know, H2O. I'm talking about the water of the universe, the Nun, they called it. You look outside, you see all that blackness. That's the Nun. That is the universe. That is hydrogen, as we know it. The periodic table of elements has, I think, maybe 116. Really, they only had 92. After 92, every one of the other atoms now basically is, or elements, if you want to call it that, really is just a manifestation of one of the 92 that have been brought together. So that's that. After 92, from 93 on. But when you begin to multiply, which is the creation after the Big Bang of the universe, you then have 2 hydrogen atoms. 2 hydrogen atoms on the periodic table of elements is called helium. That's what you blow up balloons and they float, whatnot. When you put 3 hydrogen atoms together, you have lithium. When you have 6 hydrogen atoms, that's carbon. And you have, in terms of the balance, you have 6 of everything. You have with lithium, you have in the nucleus, you have 6 neutrons, 6. My bad. Please let me start again. Lithium is 3. You have 3 protons and 3 neutrons in the nucleus of the atom, and you have 3 electrons. Okay, that deal with two different shells, but that's a side story. But there's 3. When you're dealing with 6, which is carbon, you have 6 protons, 6 neutrons in the nucleus of the atom, and you have 6 electrons. 666. If you understood what carbon was, that's what I'm focused on in my book, Carbon Before Melanin.
Yeah.
That's my first chapter.
Mm.
And I dedicate it to Dr. Sebi.
You about to do Dr. Sebi?
Because I've been going to Dr. Sebi since 1988. He's, of course, an ancestor now. I go to his son, Victor, in California, and I go to his wife, Ma'at, here in Brooklyn.
Mm.
But I invited Dr. Sebi to come to one of my presentations on melanin in Brooklyn, and he came. I did the presentation. Afterwards, I answered questions. Dr. Sebi left. When I went back to the Institute, 616 Pacific Street in Brooklyn, where the Barclays Center is now, you know, they closed his place down to build the Barclays Center, but that's a side story.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
When I went back and Dr. Sebi was there, I said, well, Dr. Sebi, what do you think about my presentation on melanin? Can you critique it for me? And he said, Booker T, you're always talking about melanin. But it was carbon before melanin. Mm-hmm. And I said, wow, okay. And so I started doing research on carbon. And then I came to realize why he said what he said. And the reason why he said what he said is because you have 4 basic atoms. Let me stick a pin there for a minute, because I know that sometimes we get confused between an atom, an element, and a molecule. So let me do a real quick story. This is what I do with children to help them understand the difference between an atom and an element and a molecule.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to take you to an ice cream store. Okay? And you see the flavors of the ice cream. Chocolate, vanilla, fudge, strawberry. That's an atom. The flavor is the atom. What it is made of is the atom. So you go to the guy working behind, girl working behind, you say, can I get a scoop of chocolate? They take the cone, they put the scoop in. The scoop of the ice cream itself is the manifestation of the atom, which is the element. Okay? One is the flavor. You're talking about the flavor. But the actual scoop itself is an element. Your friends say, I want a triple ice cream cone. I want chocolate, I want fudge, and I want coffee. 3 scoops. That's a molecule. When you combine the elements by their flavor. Now, let me take you back to the story I was telling you. You have 4 basic atoms. You have others, but 4 basic ones that make up our world. Hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon. With hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen, you can only put no more than 4 atoms together of the hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen. You can put 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen, that's water. 2 parts hydrogen, 2 parts oxygen, that's hydrogen peroxide. Okay. But you cannot put no more than 4 together to create a molecule. When you introduce carbon into that mix, that creates the millions and millions of molecules. That's why when you're dealing with organic life, you are organic because you have assimilated carbon. When they want to judge how old you are after you die, that's why they use carbon-14 dating. Because carbon-14 has a half-life. And that'll tell you how old you are, how long you've been dead. And what is left in the ground is the nitrogen, and what is released is your carbon, which if I was telling a spiritual story, I would tell you that's your soul. But that's for another day. Because there's a science. It's a soul science, family. Okay. And so the point that I'm making is the reason why Dr. Sebi said before it was melanin, it was carbon, is because melanin, with the molecules of nitrogen, oxygen, and hydrogen, they could not stick together if it wasn't for carbon.
Man, listen.
Carbon is the cosmic glue. That's why when you look outside, it's black.
Yeah.
Everything works in black.
Yeah, listen, as the young people would say, Professor Kaba, you in your bag tonight.
Well, that's because I'm with folk that understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man, you in your bag tonight, boy. This is, I mean, I feel like all of them is my favorite one with you, but it's like this one is epic though, because we're covering so much ground, but it's so methodical. I feel like damn John Elway or Peyton Manning too, like one of the great comeback quarterbacks of all time, just kind of just moving up and down the field, you know, going in for the score, because it's just so methodical, man, the way you're dropping all these jewels on us tonight.
But you see, brother, what my strength is. I thank my kindergarten children.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they made me make it simple and plain. You can't go into a first grade class and assume that you can put 1 + 1 = 2 and the children are going to understand that. First of all, they got to understand what the symbol 1 means. Then they have to understand what the plus sign means. And what does the equal sign mean? And what are we doing?
Yeah.
So I had to start off with just teaching them symbology.
Yeah.
The symbols of 1.
Yeah.
And then I had to teach them what a plus sign looked like. Again, symbology, what an equal sign looks like.
Yeah.
So my advantage, I believe, in speaking to our people and being methodical and scientific is that I think like a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And when I'm trying to figure something out that is challenging me, I try to break it down in the vocabulary of a 5-year-old.
Yes.
Because that's what will help me understand it.
Yeah. Man, I love that. And you know, that's how it's funny because that's how I tell stories and that's how I try to teach too. But I use words, but I always use pictures or visualizations, but I always tie songs into it too. Because I think about music, there's always some sort of song that I feel like can be connected to whatever picture I'm trying to paint to really bring it home and like bring a whole nother level of clarity. For example, the post for the show for today, wake up, everybody, and shout out to Heru for that dope flyer, matter of fact, because he's like for real, because he's the one that gave me the vision. Just from seeing his vision with the flyer, I said, okay, I gotta paint that picture. I gotta bring that home with a good song, some good music that'll kind of really bring, drive the point home of what we're gonna get into tonight. And that's how it came. And so it's like, I remember too what Malcolm, one of his things was I can't remember which speech it was, but he was like, you can't be going and talking in front of people using all these big words and trying to sound all intelligent and articulate and all that, because you ain't really teaching nobody nothing. If you're a real master, if you're a real teacher or a real lecturer or somebody who can really deliver messages or information to the people, it needs to be broken down to the point where a kindergartner or a 4 or 5 or 6-year-old can actually understand it. Because then if you can take a really, intricate topic and break it down to where someone at the 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade level can really understand it, that's when you're really doing something. That's where, I appreciate your level of mastery with, education, man, because it's
absolutely powerful. And, my thing is all of my books are written on a 6th grade vocabulary level. And if I do use a word that I think would be unfamiliar to them, then what I do is in brackets, I explain what the word means right there.
Yes.
Right there, I put it. In my book on melanin, right in the beginning, I have a glossary. All glossaries and vocabulary should always be in the front of the book. A lot of people put the glossary in the back.
You taught me that with this.
Okay.
You remember? I don't know if you remember, yes. But when we were in Miami, when I was literally breaking down the book before it was even in print, you was like, I got one recommendation for you, brother. Put the glossary in the beginning of the book.
That's
because
right.
By the time the parents finish reading the book to the children might not want to, take it no further than that. But if you put it in the beginning, now you're setting it up for they'll get the, some of the most important information in the beginning before they get into the story. I'm like, yo, that's deep. And so,
that's right.
That's a real thing.
Think about it, though. Think about the psychology of putting the glossary or the vocabulary in the front.
Yes.
When the glossary and the vocabulary in the back, let's say somebody picks up a book and they're reading, they come upon a word that they don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Chances are, if they haven't gone through the book, they don't even know a glossary is in the back.
No.
But even if they know the glossary is in the back, sometimes they don't want to have to go all the way to the back to look at the word and then come all the way front.
Yep.
Okay. And then, of course, you have the ones that do the right thing. But I'm just saying that even at that, it breaks the train of thought
Mm-hmm.
to have to go to the back and then come back up to the front. You got to remember what page you were on. And a lot of stuff. But if the glossary is in the front, you've already implanted the definitions, the meanings, and the explanation of the words so that when they come upon it in the reading, they will know that, hey, that's what the word. And if by chance they say, man, I remember seeing it, but I don't remember what it means, then they'll go to the front of the book.
Yeah.
But at least they will have known that.
Yes. Yeah, because it doesn't break the flow.
That's
you know, that's one of the biggest things with us, because our intentions could easily be taken away, you know, into other things, distractions and all that. But if you have it from the very beginning, it's almost like a movie. You know how they put like the synopsis of the movie, you know what I'm saying? And especially now on Netflix and all those types of platforms, like they put the synopsis. So now when you read that little summary or synopsis, you already know what you're, you know, kind of, you got a glimpse of what you're going in there to look at.
Absolutely. You know? It's a psychology. Think about this. The Shabaka stone is 3 by 4 feet by 4.8 feet.
Mm-hmm.
It's a rectangle.
Mm-hmm.
And the way our ancestors wrote was either horizontal or vertical.
Mm-hmm.
When you read horizontal, you read in the direction of the faces of the animal.
Mm.
Vertical all was top to bottom. But when they wrote horizontal, you read it like if the birds and the let's say the dog impu or whatever was facing this way, like here's the face, you read the medunetta going towards the face. Okay, if the writing was facing this way, then you read from this way into the face. When our ancestors, now check this deep out. When our ancestors wrote horizontally, each line, none of the faces ever faced the same way. So if all the faces were facing this way, you read this way. But when you got down to the next line, the faces were facing this way. So you read this way. Now check this out. When we read, right? We read from left to right. Stop, go back, read left to right. Stop, left to right. Stop, left to right. Right? Okay. Think of how our ancestors read horizontally. They read like a serpent.
Oh my God.
There was never a stop in the flow of their neurons. Do you know what I used to do? I used to have my children, just as a joke, as a fun thing, no grades, nothing. I would have them write that way. I went to the movies on Sunday and I saw Malcolm X, and my goodness, my mother was telling me how good Malcolm X was, and I just kept going. It wasn't like I went to the movies on Sunday, stop. I saw Malcolm X, stop. Okay. I used to have my children go through that. And man, the children, you know, they used to do things without me ever asking them. They would write me different things.
I didn't want to interrupt Professor Kaba, but I put on God. Before you went into that, I promised my next question was going to be to ask you what was the significance of the cobra when it comes to Kemetic, the cobra. But when it comes to Kemetic culture,
okay,
what is the, and I didn't even want to get into it yet, but because you brought up snake, and that's why I was like, oh my God, I had just finished writing it down because I wanted to get into the meta nature and how the meta nature is read from right to left, right?
Yes. Well, it's horizontally, it's read right to left, and then left to right, and then right to left. It's
like a snake.
Like a snake.
as you were saying that, that's when it came to me to write down to ask you. The next question was, what's the significance of the cobra in Kemetical? Because we see it on the headdress of the pharaohs.
Yes.
So does that all tie into where we're going now, or where you're leading us?
And the cobra is female, Irta, or the Uraeus. So is the vulture. The vulture and the cobra on the diadem of the pharaoh. They're both female energies. Okay, Mut is the vulture. Irta is the cobra. It's a Uraeus. And the significance, again, I go back to Shabaka stone, where in the beginnings of all things, 8 characteristics was left in the waters of Nun as frogs and snakes. Now, why a snake? What does a snake represent?
Spinal cord.
Well, say again.
Spinal cord.
Well, you got to look at what a snake does in nature. Okay. And what a snake does, it molts.
Yeah.
It sheds its skin.
Sure does, yeah.
And when a snake gets to a point, because it does it multiple times a year, and when the snake knows that it's about to molt, the eyes get very cloudy. Okay, this is how they know. There's some things that are going to happen to the snake. And the snake will segregate itself away from other things. But it will make sure that it gets to a very rocky or rough area. And it will go into itself. And what will happen is that as the old skin becomes crusty and hard, they start to develop a new skin inside. And when it is time to molt out, it will slither across the rough or the rock that will cut open the old skin. And as it cuts the old skin out, the snake moves with a new skin. The eyes get back to being able to see. It's a sign of resurrection.
Look at God, boy. Look at God.
Well, look at the frog now. Because I can't leave the frog out because that's the male. The snakes are all female. Okay? Nunet, Hahet, Kaket, and Amunet. Those are all female. You know that by the T at the end. Okay, those are all snakes carved. The frogs are all males. Nun, Ha, Kuk, and Amen. They're frogs. But what's the importance of frogs? What does nature teach us through frogs? Well, why do you dissect a frog in sophomore year in high school? Because they have the same central nervous system as a human being. And not only that, but if you were to look at the development of a frog from a seed to a tadpole to a frog, it goes through the same metamorphosis that a human does in gestation. And over the millions of years of the development of coming from a protozoan, which is a single cell, to a human being who is the masterpiece of the universe or of the earth. And so the frog represents metamorphosis or transformation in life, and the snake represents resurrection.
Whew. Yeah. This is the classic right here. This is
the Baka stone. I take you through the whole process. Family, it's here.
Yeah.
And what I've done is I decided, like in spirituality before religions, I analyzed the pyramid text, the coffin text, the Memphite text, the book of the coming forth today by night, the Aten text. And my thing is that when I read Wallace Budge, Book of the Dead, and I've read a lot of, I said to myself, how could I teach this to a 6th grader? How could I teach it? I mean, that's some heavy stuff. You just can't give that to somebody who might be 11, 12 years old. You got to break that down in a way that they understand. And so what I did in Spirituality Before Religions is I took the ancient text and I broke it down so that our body, you know, when you eat something that is very good for your body and the amino acids and all the other thing, the protein, well, you know, the thing is that you got to break it down. You can't digest protein. You got to break the protein down into amino acids. And then when the amino acids get to where they belong, they then reconfigure themselves into the protein that you need. And that's how I see information. You got valuable information that you want to teach, but you're not going to swallow that whole thing. So you got to break it down so that when it gets into your mind, you can then put it all back together again and it makes sense to you. You got to make it simple. That's what Malcolm said. Make it plain.
Yeah.
And again, I go back to my kindergarten, 1st grade students, 2nd grade students. I had to break stuff down in a way that they could understand. And so these are the kinds of things that we have to do.
Yes, sir.
We have to develop this.
That's facts. Yeah, that's powerful, man. I'm in awe. Look, I know it's getting late, so I don't want to keep you too long press cover. I know you got a lot on your schedule and on your plate, but do you have time for a couple of questions before we get out of here and a couple of comments from the tribe? Because you dropped a lot tonight. This is powerful. Like,
yes,
real,
man.
real. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna shout out to brother Yusuf Muhammad. I hope he's still on in order for me to bring his question up. But he said this is and this was from probably like an hour ago, but you was going in so heavy I didn't want to interrupt because I did want to give this question the day of light for you to share your insight. But he said this is very insightful. Could the arguments over origins of Americans versus Africans be based in the false timelines that do not include the Pangea in human history? Phenomenal question.
Pangea, the continents separated before humanity was on the planet. Most organic life could not have survived with what happened during the continental shifts. Pangea happened millions of years before humans came into existence. Okay? But now, the discussion of the origins of Americans versus Africans, it's very straightforward. All life came from Africa. There's a period at the end of that sentence. About 100,000 to 120,000 years ago, Africans left Africa and peopled the American continent. And chances are the first place that they went came from South Africa, like Angola. And chances are they took the Benguela Current and ended up into the mouth of the Amazon River. Because some of the earliest human beings in the American hemisphere are in Brazil. The second migration was a taller stature Black or African, known as Clovis Folsom. They were found in Clovis and Folsom, New Mexico. The third migration was the Algonquin, still Black, but having impacted by the Ice Age, but still Black. The fourth was the Inuit, I-N-N-U-I-T, derogatorily called Eskimo. They were the ones that came across the Bering Strait. To avoid giving credit to Black people for being here first, they start with the actual fourth migration of humans to this part of the world. And then the fifth came in much larger numbers, and they consumed the previous four, and that was known as the Asian migration a couple thousand years ago when they were avoiding Genghis Khan and what's called the Mongoloid. I don't like the word Mongoloid. That's another derogatory term, but they call it the Mongoloid invasions. So there really is no debate about where life came from, historically and scientifically. But the first people here were black, period. The first indigenous. See, there's a difference between indigenous American and Native American.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Indigenous is the original people.
Yeah.
I've got that blood.
Yep.
In fact, most foundational black Americans and Africans in this American hemisphere don't realize it's not just the enslaved Africans that you've got the blood of. You've got the blood of the original human beings that were here for over 100,000 years. And it don't make a difference if you're in the Caribbean. Okay, you can go to Nicaragua. The first people of Nicaragua were the Mosquito people. That's where the word Mosquito Coast comes from. Mosquito. I know them. There was one sister who was exiled by the Sandinistas of Nicaragua. She was sent. She left and she went to California. They tried to kill her, and she ended up, because she was claiming that this was our land. They didn't look like Daniel Ortega. Those are later people. The first people were black. And she comes from the Mosquito. She sent me a book she wrote.
Wow.
Sister Josephine, she's the chief of the Mosquito people. She heard me do a presentation where I was talking about that. She said, I never heard nobody talk about that before.
Wow.
And she said, I have to make her daughter made contact with me. And then she sent me her book to read about who the Mosquito people were. These were the original black people, not the ones that were enslaved.
Right.
They were here before the Spaniards.
Yeah.
In fact, they were here when Spaniards was eating raw meat in caves.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important that we be very clear, because I remember the book When Rocks Cry Out. Okay, I mean, I was one of the first people that got that book when Rocks Cry Out.
I think I got that book because of you too. Hell, half of my library came from studying and learning from you.
Okay,
A good portion.
And you see, my thing was that as I began to look at this situation and I began to study Brother Horace Butler, much respect to what he did, but the context, as Brother Yusuf was asking, the timeline was off. And what becomes important is that we realize that our presence here goes back far more. Dr. David Imhotep was a friend of mine. And over the years we talked. He has since joined the Ancestors. And he and I used to talk about his book, The First Americans Were Africans. And the reality that I think I came to through talking to him, through his wisdom, was the fact that we basically are a very, not we, everybody, I don't speak in absolutes. So I'm not saying everybody. But because of what has happened to us and what they've done to us, we are an emotional people. And we allow our emotions to lead us, specifically anger. Not everybody. And so we want to claim that America is where life came from. It could not have come from America. Because wherever life originated from, in its closest proximity, there had to have been apes. Because of the chromosomes. It was Henrietta Lacks's HeLa cells that for the first time scientists realized that humans have 46 chromosomes, not 48. Apes have 48. Humans have 46. 23 from mom, 23 from dad. And the reality that we're facing is the idea that apes and humans have a common ancestor that science calls Ramapithecine. Some Ramapithecines, as they were devolving off the planet, some Ramapithecines remained in the trees and became Pongids. Some Ramapithecines got down on the ground and started walking on the earth, and they became hominids. Bone for bone, muscle for muscle, apes and humans are exactly alike. So wherever humans evolved, autochthonous is the word, came from the land, wherever humans are originating, in its close proximity, there had to have been apes. Apes are not indigenous to America or Asia or Europe. Apes are indigenous in the Virunga Mountains of Rwanda. And the ones that went up in the mountains are called silverback. The ones that traveled east are called eastern lowland. And the ones that travel west are called western lowland gorillas. Science, chromosomes, evidence.
Yeah, we got a couple questions. I don't know if I'm gonna get to all of them, but I'm gonna try to get to as many more as Professor Kaba got time for. But well, this is a comment, so I want to shout them out too, because I appreciate that comment. So shout out to I hope I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Sheking. I absolutely appreciate the platform. We need the chosen voices to come forth. This is awesome. I'm learning and gleaming from my brothers and sisters. Professor Kaba Kamene, we need you. Appreciate you, family. We definitely appreciate the love and the support. Kashita, I think she's been on here several times when you've been on here, Professor Kaba. She wanted to know if you could share a little something to us about the significance of the chains on the Statue of Liberty.
Well, again, I think if I go straight to Kachita's question, the chains represent the enslaved African woman, period. And that's the only left remnant that is evidence that the Statue of Liberty was meant to be the freedom of the black woman. Okay, because it was Laboulaye at a meeting in 1865, he was an abolitionist, that wanted to celebrate the emancipation of African people in 1865. And so what he did was that he got together with the Bartholdi, who liked to build big things. And they decided to build a visual of a black woman statue, arms raised out with chains hanging down. Afro. White people say, now what is this? You think we're going to put this in the harbor? This is not going. So they went back.
And redid it.
And they took the chains away, because remember, she had chains around her feet that were broken. So what they did is that they moved her hand this way and put a book in it, and put a hand out and put a lamp in it, and changed the afro to Isis's crown, because that's what that is. That's a black woman's crown, Isis. So the afro became points out. Now you can see African women that have that design in their hair, where the way in which that they've twisted their hair so it looks like what the Statue of Liberty looks like.
Yeah. I've seen sisters do that.
Okay.
Yeah. They got the big, pretty natural fro. Yep. I know exactly.
And they said, no, we ain't putting this in the harbor either. So they went back and they changed her from black to green. And that's the Statue of Liberty. And I often ask us, and I understand why they didn't allow it to go the way it was supposed to. Can you imagine all of those immigrants that were coming? They used to have dreams Europeans had dreams when they come into America. They called her the lady in the harbor.
Mm.
They dreamt about her. They
Mm.
searched for her.
Mm.
Give me your tired.
Mm.
Emma Lazarus wrote the poem. Give me your tired, you're hungry. Those yearning to be free. Can you imagine those white people coming to this country looking for a black woman?
Mm.
Do you know the relationship we would have had with them, immigrants,
Mm.
if they were searching for a black woman?
Mm.
It would have changed some. That's why they didn't want it in there.
Right. Whew. Yeah. That's deep. Okay. I know somebody actually answered this question, but this came earlier too about the significance of the number 9. That's well, we can go a lot of places with that. But what's your answer to that, Professor Kaba? You want to know what was the significance of 9? This is when you're talking about 666 with the carbon. I'm having a brain fart now, but when we was talking about the number 666 with carbon.
Yes.
Or the
well, you know, there are, for instance, there are bases that you can count.
Mm-hmm.
You have a base 2 system, a base 3 system, a base 4 system.
Mm-hmm.
And then 9 basically is the base 10 system.
Mm.
9 is completion. Musicians, okay, dancers and singers and musicians, they think in base 4. You have 0, 1, 2, 3, and then you have one set, 0 left over. See, 10 is not a number.
Right.
10 is a symbol of completion.
Yeah.
It means one set, 0 left over.
Yeah.
If that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. We in a 10-year right now, completion.
And so 9 is moving into completion to become one, a set, together, unity, common unity, which is community.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Big facts.
And so 9 becomes that number of completion. And the reason why musicians think in the base 4 is because you have half note, quarter note, eighth note, 16th note, whole note. And the whole note is 4. Everything else is divisible within 4. 16th, quarter note, half note.
Yep.
And so that's base 4. You have a base 5 number. You have a base 5 number system. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one set, 0 left over.
I say. Yeah, that's deep. Okay. Let me see. Matter of fact, this one Tunerkable. So the Ened elements, I think that's what they were going. So the Ened elements are they considered to be divine elements or principles?
Yes. Yes. See, the Ened follows the Ogdo. You see, they say that I talk about it in the Shabaka Stone. They talk about the first is the original Trinity, Nun, Ptah, and Atum.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have what I call the essences of pre-existing order. But the Greeks called it the gods of chaos. And then you have the Ened, which they called the gods of order and arrangement. I call it the essences of order and arrangement. But I don't believe in chaos. I don't believe our ancestors believed in chaos. I believe they believed that what came before order and arrangement was pre-existing order and arrangement. Because they were searching for order. Nature searches for order and arrangement in all things. So they don't come from a perspective that it's chaos. Like you think of chaos as nothing is happening, but they are. You're just waiting to become ordered and arranged. But the Ened are divine principles. The Ened basically is what comes from the Ogdo, or the essences of pre-existing order and arrangement. because Nun, Nunet, Ha-Ha-Het, Kakaket, Amun, and Amunet give birth to, through Atum, give birth to Shu and Tefnut. This is the Enid. Shu and Tefnut. Shu is air, Tefnut is moisture.
Water, right? Yeah.
Shu and Tefnut give birth to Nut and Geb. Nut is sky and Geb is earth. Okay, and then Nut and Geb give birth to Asar, Aset, Nebatet, and Satan. And then Asar and Aset give birth to Heru, which is the resurrection of the cycle of life. And Heru is where Christians got Jesus Christ from.
Yeah, and we done covered that story multiple times, how they, stole that stolen legacy.
But that's Shabaka stone.
Yeah.
Shabaka stone is the Old and New Testament combined. The problem in the Abrahamic religions is that they turned it all around.
Yeah.
Because in reality, what they call the New Testament is really the Old Testament. Because the Amen priesthood is where Christ came out of. And Hebrewism came out of the Aten text, which was the 18th dynasty. So what we call today, and it couldn't have been called Judaism because the letter J didn't exist in the language until 1526. That's why you have Yahweh. Okay, you don't have, his name couldn't have been Jesus, and his name and his name couldn't have been Judas, and they couldn't have been Jews because the letter J didn't exist.
Facts.
And in Africa, the J came from a sound that was preceded by D, DJ, Ja, because every time you make the sound J, you gotta make the sound D, Ja, Ja. Yeah. So the way you form your mouth is starting with a D, but you end up with a soft G, a D that becomes J, J, J. They don't know what they're doing, family.
Oh man!
I'm just trying to make it plain. I'm not the type of person to put people down or to talk about certain things, but we got to make it plain, family. The Western civilization is on its way out.
Oh yeah, it's already gone.
The Western civilization, the Persians lasted about 181 years. The Greek Empire lasted maybe about 300. It went from 332 to 30 BC. So what is that? When you subtract stuff, okay, not more than 500 years. And then when you look at the Roman Empire, they were from 30 BC to 426 AD. So you're dealing with 456 years there. That's not 500. And then Europe went into darkness, and it took the Moors in 710 or 711 to come in and bring them back out of their dark ages and build schools and food and all sorts of technology that by 1492, these heifers thought they knew what they were doing. So they were going to conquer the Moors, and then they started the Western civilization. So from 1492 basically until right now, these folk have been running their stuff, and this is falling. Europe is falling.
Oh, it's dead. It's
okay. And it's just very important for us to understand what's happening.
Yeah.
It's not a good look, family. And if we don't get ourselves together, and you know something else, every one of them fell for the same reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's two types of government. No matter they say democracy, communism, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm going to put that aside, and I'm going to just tell you there's two ways to rule. When the people rule and when few rule. FEW. Every one of the Indo-European civilizations, few ruled. And it wasn't long before the people rebelled. Every one of them. They rebelled. That's why they left Europe, because they were kicked out. Because the people kicked them out. And we just have to understand where we are right now and what we have to do. We have to teach our babies. We have to have a 100-year plan. Where do you see us in 2126, 100 years from now? Where do you see us? What do you see us doing? Where do you see our children? What is our schools going to look like? What's our economic system? Because this economic, they already stopped producing the penny. Okay, and pretty soon they're going to do that with the coins. And that way you're only going to be dealing with paper. And then pretty soon you're only going to have a card. And everything's going to be through the card.
Because none of it's real.
It's all an illusion. Okay, economy. Echo comes from a Greek word oikos. It means environment or home. Nomics means to know. Economics means to know your environment. Just like ecology is to have knowledge of your environment. This money thing, this is an illusion. That's why every coin, every bill say, "In God we trust." You better trust God. That's going to get you what you need if you got that money. But if God say that money don't mean nothing, it don't mean nothing. So as we move forward, family, we just have to understand what we have to do. We have to have a 100-year plan for our children and for our community and for our people. We have to support those that support us. And so I ask you to support Orisa Bemi and all the work that he's doing. Okay, sure. And the way you can support him, they say that money is the root of all evil, but money is also the root of our emancipation and liberation. Money not bad, is how you use it.
Big facts.
If you want to support me, go to my website.
Yes, sir.
Check out my books. Okay? Because you support me, I can write more books.
Facts.
I can do more things. And right now, the means of doing that is what we call money. And all the other great scholars that are out here, support them. Your small Black businesses, support them. Try to find the best way to buy Black. And if you can't buy Black, then that's when you got to break out to buy somewhere else, because there are things that Black folk do not produce. And I understand that. And if you need something that Black folk don't produce, you either go without or you have to go to somebody else to buy. Do what you have to do. But first search Black people.
Yes, sir.
See if there's Black people. And also Black business, respect your customer.
Yes, that's facts.
Respect your customer. Don't think because you Black, they got to support you. Don't be disrespectful. Don't give people a hard time. Okay? If what you've given them is defective, like sometimes I've sent out DVDs and they don't play. People contact me, they say, "Man, I was so excited. I put your DVD in and it wouldn't play." Right. So I sent them a new one. Yep. And first I put it on my machine to make sure it played. Right. That I wasn't selling them another failure. Right. And then they said I can mail back the one that I said, "Don't mail it back. You're only going to pay more money if you mail it back to me. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work." Now, could they have been messing with me? Possible. But the customer is always right. Yeah. Facts. That's how I operate. I do good business. Yeah. I believe in good business. I believe that my greatest promoter are my customers that are satisfied. Facts. That's big facts. It's just the way it is. Yes, sir. But we have to support each other. Yes, sir. My website. KabaKamene.com. www.KabaKamene.com. My Instagram page is Kaba Kamene, KabaKamene. I use my Instagram page as my community bulletin board, and I put things up sometimes that are of interest. I put pieces like for instance, when Orisa shares with me this interview, I put pieces up so that people know, get this type of information that we're dealing with. Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, man. Family, I've had enough. I don't know how other people feel, but I've had enough of this clown show and everybody complaining. Okay. But why'd you vote for the circus and then get upset because everybody's a bunch of clowns? You knew it was a circus. And we have to become very sophisticated in politics. We'll always have to govern ourselves, family. We might want to fight it, and I'm not going to vote. I understand. There's nothing to vote for. But there is something to vote for. And I understand why some people feel that you shouldn't vote. I understand that. But your vote is your voice. And if you're going out to war, and on your table, you have a gun, a knife, and a pen, what you going to do? Some people say, well, I kept the gun. What happened when you run out of bullets? Some people say, well, I'll take the gun and the knife. I say, what happens when you run out of bullets and you drop your knife? The point I'm making, everything on the table, I'm taking into war, including the pen.
I know that's right.
Everything is part of our offensive. Don't leave nothing on the table by any means necessary.
Yes, sir. That's facts. Yeah, man. I got one last one.
And Healing Goddess, you're absolutely correct. All politics is local.
Yeah, I gotta find that one. There's a lot of them coming in.
She's right at the bottom. Healing Goddess. She said vote locally.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Okay.
Here we go.
Very important.
Yes, sir. That's facts.
Because that's where your daily life is decided.
Yeah.
You know, when I was teaching, I used to do to get the children ready for like November and voting. I created city government, state government, and federal government, because a lot of us don't know the difference between city, state, and federal.
Yeah.
And the way I arranged it was the classroom was city government. The grade was the state government, and the school was federal government. And they used to run for office. And the classroom was not called the president. The classroom was called the mayor. Then the classes, people voted for a grade leader. And the grade leader was not called president. The grade leader was called governor. And then the school government, that leader was called president. And we had city council, we had state senators, and we also had judges. Because I didn't have to make the rules. I had the children make the rules. Because when the children make the rules, when you break them, you're breaking your own student rules.
Yeah.
Not because the school told you this, don't do this, don't do that.
Right.
Okay. The students decided.
Yeah.
And behind it all, family, was Ma'at.
I love that concept.
Truth, justice, harmony, balance, order, arrangement, reciprocity. Reciprocity will go around, come around. You shall reap what you sow. And I used to ask the children, I say, listen, let me ask you something. Now I saw you smack him in his head. Would you have smacked him in his head if you knew that somebody was going to smack you 7 times in the head? Reciprocity. You misbehaved. Would you misbehave if you knew that you would get 7-fold back what you did to other people? See, the reason why these people are doing what they're doing today is they don't believe in reciprocity. They don't believe that what go around, come around. They don't believe that when you chase people down and you murder them, when you enslave them, when you steal their land, you don't know that you shall reap what you have sown. That what go around, come around. That what you give is what you're going to get. That's how we have to govern ourselves. The principles of Ma'at.
That's deep. Uh-oh. I love that, Professor Kaba. I got one more if you got time. One last one.
Sure.
And then Emperor of Truth 777. I see you, family. I'm gonna definitely I'm gonna actually text a screenshot of your question to Professor Kaba, and then I'll be able to share it with you once I get it back from him, because I don't want to keep asking questions. But I want to share this one because multiple people asked it. But I'm gonna definitely get your question to him too, family, so that way you know, I can honor your question as well. But this one came up multiple times. Healing Goddess 85 says, I've been told that the Americas was the empire of Morocco, but haven't found anything saying that. Can you please clear this up for me?
I haven't found anything either, fam.
Yeah,
But the idea is, I do realize the relationship that Noble Drew Ali had with the concept of Morocco, with the flag of Morocco, and the idea of the Moors. I do understand that. But I can't get to that point. But I do realize, and I've also dealt with concepts that deal with the idea of, for instance, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when he spoke about the scientist that created white people,
Yaqub.
Okay. I see Yaqub as a metaphor for the Ice Age. I don't see it as an actual scientist. I see it as a metaphor. And so for me, with my research and where I've come, and again, I'm not asking people to believe me. This is where I'm coming from with what I've researched. Because like I say, you know, when I was reading this work, and when I was researching this, I went deep inside of things. And I just haven't come up with any information. I have come out with information that might relate to the relationship. For instance, like with Morocco, recognizing the United States of America, or I should say the 13 colonies, as a, seeing it as a sovereign country. Morocco, as a sovereign nation, as a sovereign country, looked at America as a sovereign nation. I can see that. There's evidence of that. But as it relates to the other things, if I don't have evidence, and not just one source, but multiple sources that say the same thing, I can't go with it until I get that source and that evidence. So to answer your question, I haven't seen it either.
Ashe. Oh, yeah, that's deep. Man, it's been another phenomenal episode, Professor Kaba. You never cease to amaze me, man. Like I thought I seen the best, but nah, we still going. So yeah, this was prolific. It was definitely one of them ones, man. So I give gratitude and thanks. You came through and did what you always do. And yeah, I'm grateful. Nothing but love, gratitude, appreciation. The tribe, they was going crazy, and we had, for it to be this late, we had a nice crowd in here, you know, chilling with us. So I can't wait for everybody else to see it tomorrow. But if you have anything that you want to leave with the family, I'll definitely post all your links in the show description, for the website, for your Instagram, Cash App. And then real quick, where I know you said we can find the curriculum on your website. How do we, like, what do we type in when we need to go look for that? Because I want to get that myself too, Professor Kaba.
This one says study guide.
Okay.
And the other one that I taught in
American
is called the Camerican.
Okay, got you.
Combination of Kemet and American.
I love it. Yeah,
that's the study guide. But all of my books are up on my website, and all of my books are also in the link in my bio. If by chance you are not within the United States boundaries, maybe in Europe or in Africa somewhere, in Australia, Amazon. Because what it would cost for me to mail it to you personally would be more than what the book is. And I'm looking at economy right now. And right now, the most economic way to get my books, if you're not in the United States, is to go to Amazon. I am working on a way that I can begin to have my own website. I'm working on that, so that you can come directly to me. Yes, and then I will mail out my books. But right now, you can go to my website, and I can do it that way. Okay.
Sure. Yes, sir. And I'm gonna post them again. And then family, Healing Goddess, I'm gonna send. I'll put the links to Professor Kaba's Instagram and mine in there too for the books, because I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. She said she got some books to send our way, Professor Kaba. So I'm gonna share the IGs in there in the chat. And yeah, man, do you have anything you want to leave with the family before we sign out of this thing tonight?
If I could leave anything with you, family, I want you to know Dr. King was right. We are going to get to the promised land. Our ancestors didn't bring us this far for us to end up like this. And I'm a teacher, so I got to give you a homework assignment. And I'm going to give you the homework assignment that Professor John Henry Clark gave me when I was 12 and a half, when I first met him in Harlem, New York. There was about 5 young people. Myself was one of them. And then the old heads and the elder people. And he told the young people to go home, look in the mirror, and tell the person that you're looking at, I love you, and mean it. He said, because if you can't do that, there is nothing anyone else can do for you. And as I've moved through my life and got to this point, the very foundations of success comes from self-love. Even if you may not care for, let's say, how you may look, don't make the corrections because you hate how you look. Make the corrections because you love yourself and you know you deserve better. But you must love yourself. And not only love yourself, because after you love yourself, then you'll know yourself. When you know yourself, you'll have self-discipline. When you have self-discipline, then you'll get to know other people. And when you get to know other people, then you can manage other people, and that's called leadership. But it starts with self-love. And everything else builds from that. Love every kink in your hair. Love every width of your nose, every shape of your lips. Love the melanation in your skin. Because the Creator don't make mistakes. And you are the Creator having a human experience. So you are meant to look exactly how you look. So keep on keeping on, family. And Brother Orisa Bemi, thank you for this opportunity to not only speak with our community, but also to have this fellowship with you. Because I respect you and I honor you for all that you do. I respect your family for all that they do to keep you where you are. And together, we're going to make this happen. We are doing it as we speak because it ain't over until we win. So I salute you and the family.
Yes, sir. I'm going to send it right on back, man. I appreciate you looking. If it wasn't for the work that you've done, and wholeheartedly for you embracing me and taking me up under them big, massive wings, man, I'm not sitting here the same way I'm sitting here today, if I'm sitting here at all. So I give gratitude and much love, honor, and respect to you for the work that you do and for the humility. I take pride in that. And I really... I take that and I put that in my tool belt, man, because I see how the people like yourself, who I look up to and I admire and respect, is a lot of it has to do with the humility, because you never put yourself above the others, above the community, above, the tribe, above the people. And I salute that. That's the people's champs, you know what I mean? So I love it. I respect it. I take pride in doing the work, and holding it down, I look forward to doing what I could do with the baton, with all that you've poured into us and actually doing something with it, taking action like we spoke about earlier with the name. So I can't thank you enough for not only myself, but for the tribe. We definitely got nothing but love, support, and I look forward to doing it again, because as hard as we went for 3 hours, I still ain't get all the questions. So I had to hold them to the next time.
Looking forward to the next. It give us something to come back together again for.
Yes, sir. That's fact.
All power to the people, family.
Yes, sir. All right, family. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for holding us down for 3 hours at this midnight hour. But, man, we got it done. We got it in. So I appreciate every single one of y'all until we do it again. We out. Peace, family.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé ṣàpò ìyàgbọ́, tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn, ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ. Ẹja lọ pé eégún mo sí ẹni gbẹ́rẹ́ yí pàkọ́. Forsake not your ancestors and praise your